Hi everyone, this is Ivo here, creator of Slicknode, and today I want to show you something that I'm really excited about. It is a VS Code extension for Slicknode that makes it incredibly easy and super fast to develop GraphQL powered backends with Slicknode. Let me show you what this looks like. So here I've created a new Slicknode project which just has some built-in modules installed, and here I created an empty module where we want to create a blog application. So here I can now go to the blog module and open the schema GraphQL file. And then here we can define our GraphQL types using the GraphQL schema definition language. And usually that involves quite a bit of typing. So if I want to create a blog post, I'll do like type, then have to add the namespace for the module. Then I say it implements the node interface and the content interface. The node interface for enabling the persistence layer, and the content interface to enable all that content management functionality like localization, versioning, etc. So now I've added those interfaces, I have to add all the fields that are part of those interfaces. And for the node interface, that's easy, that's just the ID. But for the content interface, there are quite a few fields that we have to add, and it's quite hard to remember them all. You have to copy paste them from the documentation, etc. So it's quite annoying. So that's why I created a VS Code extension that makes this a lot easier. So let's get rid of this here and let's install the extension. You can get that from the marketplace. So we go to code, preferences, and then extensions. And then here we can just search for Slicknode. This shows us then the Slicknode extension. If we select this, we can install it in our VS Code. And now that we have this extension installed, we have a few snippets available that we can use in our schema GraphQL file. So now if we go back to our schema GraphQL file, we can use the snippets. To use the snippets, there are a few triggers configured. They all start with an S for Slicknode, and if we type an S, we can see a list of all the snippets that are available. So for example, if you want to add a content node here, I just select the snippet here, hit enter, and then all I have to do is give it a name. So now this automatically created the type, it added the namespace, it added the interfaces, and it added all the fields that I need for those interfaces. Now if I hit tab, then it puts the cursor right where I want it, and here I can define my custom fields. So you want to give it a title, type string, then the slug of type string, unique, text, etc. So then you can just define your custom fields here, depending on what you're building. Another thing, you can also add a regular node without the content interface. So we just select the node, let's say for a category where we don't need the content management functionality. Then we just add our custom fields here and we're done. We don't have to do all the typing for the namespace, for the interfaces, etc. We can also add a timestamped interface, let's say for a comment system, if you want to keep track when comments were added and when they were updated. And we select the right snippet for this, and then we can create our types here. Say we link this to the blog post, create the relation, and then we also want to save the author that created the blog post. So that way you can super quickly create your data model, use copy paste, use those snippets, and it takes care of adding the namespace, etc. So a lot less typing. Another thing which usually involves quite a bit of typing is when you want to add a custom mutation. So you'd have to define the input type, you'd have to define the payload type, and you also have to add that mutation field to the mutation type, where you then pass all those types that you just created. There's a snippet for this that makes this a lot easier. So let's use the snippet here. We type S again, select the right snippet, I hit enter. And now let's say we want to add a user registration to our blog. Say register user, we hit tab, and then you can see it automatically created an input type with the right naming convention, the namespace. It created a payload, and it also added the field to the mutation type with the input value and the return type. And now all we have to do is add our custom fields here. So let's say you want to gather an email address of type string, and let's say password also of type string. And then here as the payload, we want to return if this was successful, and a message that we can then display to the user. So that's it. You can super quickly create your applications. Then all you have to do is run Slicknode deploy, and then you have a GraphQL backend. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Also make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and enable those notifications so that you always get notified whenever I publish something new about Slicknode and GraphQL. I will be publishing tutorials, tips and tricks about Slicknode and GraphQL on a regular basis on this channel. So make sure you subscribe and I will see you in the next video.